Hi.
Hi.
Adele, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Well, I suppose I should start with congratulations.
Thank you.
It's really a really great record.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's so personal and vulnerable, and
Yeah.
but it's also like just a lot of really interesting textures. And I kind of want to talk about the sound of the record, and I want to talk about some of these songs where they come from. But I can't get over how big it all is, you know?
Yes.
Like, there's like a convenience store next to my house in Toronto, and there's big 30 posters up everywhere there, you know? And so how are you with it all?
I'm good. I mean, I'm kind of settling back into it. You know, it's been like maybe like 3 weeks now since I've felt like it's all kicking off and stuff like that. At first, I was like exhausted and overwhelmed. I was a bit teary all the time. I don't know if I want to do it, but it was too late. So I just have to sort of get comfortable with it and ride it.
Is the trepidation because it's so personal?
I don't do anything for such long periods of time that it's just, even though this would now really kind of be, well, now it would be my second time really, because it wasn't as big of a deal before between 19 and 21. But I feel like I'm a bit more used to just going from 0 to 1,000, you know, in a matter of sort of a couple of months really. But it's just, I don't know, I'm like I've spoke about, I don't like being famous. You know, and it's coming out of nowhere after so long, I know, makes it more of a big deal. So you think, really, I put a record out every year, but I also don't want to do that. Yeah, it's just hard to get used to, you know, everyone talking about me again, really, like, you know.
It is a bit strange, isn't it?
It's really strange. It's not normal.
No.
It's really odd.
It's not a normal way to live one's life.
No, and I live very normally, like, you know, normally, so normal, yeah. But yeah, I'm getting used to it, it's okay.
I suppose we should start with the song, the first song.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's gorgeous, and it's
to have those very big conversations, like, you know, it's never going to be like 21 or 25 was a bit more about myself really, but like in terms of me in a relationship, but me blaming someone else. But it just felt like the right tone to be where I'm at in terms of relationships falling apart now. So yeah.
It's the right tone for where I am with relationships falling apart now.
Yes, for you as well?
I suppose so.
I don't know if you were saying it, declaring that about yourself or asking me. Just before I'd be like, you f***ing this, f***ing that. Like, I'm in my 30s now. Like, that gets me nowhere if I'm like that. Like, you know, so it's sort of, you're having to sit down as two absolute grown-ups and talk about how you're going to split your lives apart. Like, you know, it has to be, you know, you have to be respectful with each other, you have to be calm, otherwise nothing's ever going to get sorted out. And it's not a song about anyone hurting each other, it's a song about being like, it's just, we love each other so much, but it's not working. So the tone of it is kind, I think. Maybe you disagree.
I know, I think it's, oh no, I do, no, yes. I think it is.
So I think that's a good tone, I felt like, for me to come back with, like, you know.
I thought it was very hopeful.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say you don't hear many songs in the canon of pop music with that sort of like respect between all parties.
Exactly, that's exactly. But that's what I mean by the tone of it. That's what's been going on in my life. You know, it's not argumentative. It's not bitter. It's not like fuck you and all that. Like, it can't be like that. There's a child involved and stuff like that. So, and I think a lot of people thought I would be feeling like that because there's been all sorts of rumours online about why we broke up, that he got all my money. As if I'm that stupid to let someone have all my money, not that he ever would even ask for it. I think a lot of people thought I was going to be an angry divorced woman. Yeah. And so I thought that Easy on Me was a good tone of being like, well, I'm not, so listen to my side. Jeez,
you say it's hard, and it's weird being famous.
Yeah.
It must be some weird to break up being famous.
It must be weird breaking up being famous. Yeah. Well, yeah, a little bit, like having to sort of announce that you're separating just because otherwise it would start looking like things were dodgy if, you know, you didn't tell people and then a pat might, you know, catch you with someone else or whatever. It was, it was very strange, but I feel like we navigated it quite well, considering.
The sound of the song is lovely. You know, when I first heard it, it was very, you know, Adele to me.
Very me, yeah.
Yeah, but then when you listen to the rest of the record, it's quite varied.
Yeah.
You know, the first song sort of sounds like this old 1935, like a dream is a wish your heart makes sort of Disney song.
Yes.
But sort of devastating.
Yeah, it was weird, isn't it? It's dark and it's like, oh,
like a cut from Cinderella.
But I love that you have no idea where the album could go after that.
Musically, what did you want the record to sound like?
Just all my favourite types of music, kind of the same vibe as always, the kind of artist I've been. I don't ever want to make... Well, it would be cool at some point, maybe down the line, to do a record that all has one sound going through it, but I'm not there yet. I'm not, I still don't have a favourite type of music that I like listening to. I like all types of music, so why can't I still be a fan when I'm being an artist,
I suppose so. What were you listening to?
I was listening to a lot of Marvin Gaye. I was listening to a lot of Donny Hathaway, a lot of Al Green, a lot of soul music, and but certain eras of it, sort of late 60s to mid 70s and stuff like that. And just a lot of music that they never tried to get the best take. They wanted to get the best, actually how someone was playing. It was what was the best take with the best feeling in it. I was really trying to kind of organically make the record, really, in terms of how they made those records.
Yeah, it was surprising in texture sometimes. The acoustic guitar songs were surprising. They sort of came out of nowhere. More electronic sounds came out of nowhere.
I know.
The backup singers are spectacular.
Oh, thank you. That's all me. I think I really stepped my game up on this album. I made a big point of all my split personalities should all definitely come through on this album. Yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you about a song on the record, but I want to be gentle about it because I'm not in the business of getting you to talk about anything you don't want to talk about. But I wanted to ask about the song with you and your son in it.
My Little Love, yes.
My Little Love. I don't know if I've heard a more affecting piece of music in a long time. And I suppose I should set it up for people who are listening to this and who haven't heard the song yet. But it's a song punctuated by recorded conversations, between you and your son. And then it ends with sort of you speaking personally.
Yeah, it's a voicemail that I left with my best friend. Yeah.
Tell me about the decision to put those recordings on the song.
The first time you hear his voice, he says, I love you, I love you a billion %. And so everyone's like, oh, but then by the end, he's sort of being like, I feel like you don't like me. So it's going on his journey as well as my own, I thought was really important, made it more personal. I thought it'd be nice at this stage in my career also to let people in a little bit more, because I don't share very much of my life. I normally only really share my music, and people have been sort of so curious about where I'm going and what, where I'm at, just in my life, not in terms of being nosy, just being like, oh, I hope she's okay, or, sometimes I guess people might hope for the opposite. I just thought it was a really important song that I wanted to capture people's imagination as much as possible. That's why I put me and Angelo in it, at least. And at the end, I wanted Angelo, with the voicemail that I included. That night, I'd put Angelo to bed when I'd recorded that, and we'd actually had a really good bedtime and stuff like that. And then I fell apart afterwards, and I kept up my strength, and I was consistent for him that one evening. And afterwards, just completely fell apart. And I'm not ashamed of that, and I think a lot of parents hide things from their kids, as we should, in most cases. But I couldn't hide from him. He could see me even clearer if I tried to hide from him, so... and I've actually found that it affects men more than women. People that I've played it to or that have heard it, the women are like, God, I feel like that a lot of the time. I feel like I'm struggling in my motherhood, whereas I feel like the men I've played it to have never considered how their mum might have felt outside of being their mum. And it seems to really, really touch them, which is great, really, because I wrote it for Angelo, and I wrote it to shine some light on, I didn't always have it together and stuff like that. But it is very personal, and he probably will go through stages of hating it, when he's a teenager and stuff like that. But it was an important part of the puzzle I was trying to figure out, my life, not the album. So I had to include it.
That moment is important. The moment you find out that your parents are human. Because I think when you're growing up, you would think that they are...
just mum and dad.
Or that they're all-knowing gods.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. In the song, when I say I don't really know what I'm doing, imagine hearing that as a 6-year-old. What do you mean you don't know what you're doing? You'd panic and your whole world would implode. But, I was just trying to be clear with him and just be honest with him. But, it was intense. It was very, very intense, for sure.
And at the end, I think you say something along the lines of, I find myself to be very lonely, but I'm not a very lonely person.
Yeah, at the end I say, it's the first time I felt lonely, and I love being on my own, but I'm just really, really lonely.
That's quite a gift to give to people.
It may be, yeah. I did definitely, by making that song, it sorted out some of the clutter that was going on in my ability to talk about how I was feeling, you know. So it was definitely a big breakthrough, emotionally, not even just musically for me.
I don't want people to think that this is all one song or one style of song, because there are joyful songs in this record. And there's happy songs, and my favorite songs are the songs where I feel like you're talking to yourself.
Okay, what one's that?
Hold On is one where
Yeah,
I feel like
I am
you're
talking to myself in that one, yeah.
What is the story that you wanted to tell yourself in making this record?
Oh.
Hold on, my God, you talk whatever you want.
I just wanted to sort of, the only way I could access how I was actually feeling was by doing my music. And I think for quite a number of years, maybe actually straight away after 21, up until I started writing this record, I think I'd forgotten, or I was ignoring, how much music helps me and what a gift it is to have such an interest and an ability with music that I can, have, when I posted the letter about my album, it was my ride or die. It never left me when my ability to make this album and to want to go and be musical, that feeling never left me, and every other, ambition to do anything completely left me. I didn't even want to wash my hair. I didn't want to get up one morning, many mornings. I wouldn't go to my friend's, anniversary party. I had no desire to go and do any of those things, but I wanted to go and do my music. It was reliable and it was consistent and stuff like that for me. And I think I really disrespected that feeling that I have, that friendship that I have with music. I don't feel like I utilise it very well for the last, not decade, but maybe 8 years of my life.
Why not?
Because it frightened me. My hobby became my job.
Yeah.
So it's hard to have, normally you have a hobby outside of your work, that's where you go and let steam off, and that's where you go and have your fun. But to me, I was unable to differentiate the two. So I'd be like, why do I want to go and do my hobby when my hobby's my job? What's going to work the whole time? And I think I just, fame scares me, and, fame comes with my job and stuff like that. Yeah. But having that comfort, having that best friend and being able to do the music is what I wanted to explore. I didn't know what I was going to write about necessarily all the time. And there was a few songs that didn't make the record, but I knew that I could work through my personal issues if I was just near a studio. Didn't mean that other people had to hear it necessarily, but as I was making the record for longer and longer, I realised I was really making progress, emotionally. And I had a story to tell with the songs, which might help other people that either need to start doing the hard work on themselves, or people that might never ever do it, but it can give them comfort by listening to someone else trying their hardest to get through the process, So I didn't really want to teach myself or, tell myself anything other than that I could still get out of bed in the morning and go and do what it is that I love to do. That was it, really. That was the only thing I was trying to tell myself. But with Hold On, which is definitely a song where I think it's obvious that I'm talking to myself, but I do think a lot of people will listen to that as in, she's talking to me as well, which is wonderful, was just, having nothing left to sort of prove, or I was doing everything I could to survive, in terms, I'm not talking about my music, I'm talking about in life. Yeah. And I might, I think probably around the time that I wrote that, I was feeling better and my anxiety had gone and stuff like that, but also just being well, at least I've done the hard work. At least I haven't avoided it, and it might take another 10 years for me to feel like I'm okay and stuff like that and safe again. So just hold on. I'm doing a good job, just because, Rome wasn't built in a day. It was that kind of thing. I always was when am I going to feel better? It better be tomorrow, it better be next week. And there was no deadline anywhere, it was just in time. So that was all that was. It was just being disappointed in some of the decisions that I'd made, but also knowing I was making some progress.
Yeah, and I think progress is the word. I think people, it's a misnomer to say that this record is about an ending. Mm-hmm. In some way, the record is about the middle.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think we tend to polarize relationships.
Yeah.
Beginning, they begin and then they end.
Yeah.
But my God, there's so much in the middle. And to me, I've never heard a record that's so much about the middle before.
That's really interesting. I definitely agree with the middle thing, yeah. It was just... But, I've got my little mountain that I climb. That's what my tattoo... It's a mountain. It's just... I feel like I'm always on a mountain.
Is that a tattoo?
Right now. Oh, yeah.
I thought it was the stamp they gave you to get in. Yeah.
Right now I'm having a leisurely walk down here, but soon there'll be another bloody mountain. So it's I need to learn what the tools are, to make my climb up up the next mountain easier each time, like, you know, and it's... So, yeah, I would agree with the middle thing very much. But life never, like, the living of life never ends when you're in it. You know,
the
it's
living
constant.
of life never ends when you're in it.
Well, you know, when you die, obviously life ends, but like living is constant, like for us. Like it's like every day there's something or other that we have to deal with, or someone else's emotion or turmoil that we have to like, you know, hold their hands. It's always something else, like, you know. So this album, I think, isn't just about my relationship with my family. It's mainly about the relationship I have with myself, which hasn't been a great one for most of my life so far. And I have to have a great relationship with myself to have good relationships with other people. My friends, my romantic partners, my child, you know, my colleagues, like whatever. It's like, you can't have good relationships if you don't have a good one with yourself.
You can't fix your relationship with yourself through a relationship with somebody else.
No. Yeah, all you'll do is just bleed into other people.
Yeah.
You know, or like make someone else's life a bloody nightmare for the hurt that you've experienced before from someone else. Wasn't even that this poor bloody sod's fault, you know?
I know.
It's constant, it's never ending.
Are you a different person now than when you started the record?
When I started this record?
Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, it was early 2019. Yeah, very, very much. I'm way calmer. I've learned to have a bit of patience in all areas. And I'm just very chilled out in any scenario where normally I would definitely be frazzled. You know, and I also won't do anything I don't want to do, like, at all. Ever again, I don't think.
I find that's a hard one.
Yeah, no, I definitely won't.
No is a hard one for me.
Oh, no. I mean, I've always said a bit no. But, like, I will always trust my intuition going forward.
As much as this is a very personal record, I can't help but imagine that there's so many people who are going to listen to it when they're going through their own challenges. Mm-hmm. Whether it may be a divorce or, you know, trying to explain something challenging to their child or, you know, something that they're not sort of yet ready to understand. How much of that was on your mind? Like, what do you want them to hear in this record?
I wasn't really thinking about that when I was writing it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, because you said something like that. You said that 21 was a record that you were happy to give to everybody else.
Yeah.
Everyone else was to have that.
I also had no idea that album was going to be... I mean, no one had any idea that album was going to go on to do... That's absolutely nonsense. No one did. We were, every day, we were like, what? This is insane. And that's when I started to, like, coil up and be like, I don't know if this life is for me. But it was... That one, it was just... It became so massive, like, out of nowhere, by such surprise, that I had no choice but to be like, hey, you lot have it then, like, you know... 25, I don't really... I just had a baby when I started writing it. I don't remember what my thought process was going through all of that. And then I did a huge tour, so I would say I also gave that record to everyone as well. But this one, like I said, I was in the studio for myself, like, you know... I wouldn't have been surprised if, you know, towards the end of writing it, I would have been like, okay, well, this is my record, and let me now write my album I'm going to put out next. Like, you know, it was just part of the process, was writing that album. But I definitely took comfort in it when I listened to it at the end, and I had so long to listen to it because the last song I wrote for it was Hold On, which was a week before lockdown. So then I wrote that, and then we went into lockdown for, like, nearly a year.
Yeah.
And so I was just listening... Like, normally, I'd finish the record and I'd get going, you know, with all of the launch and stuff like that, and I had to sit with this bloody record for a whole year, like, you know, which at the beginning I was mortified and, like, scared by, but actually it was a great gift. Like, I got to really think about the track listing properly, think about, you know, other bits of arrangement that I would want to do or that I would want to change, which normally I don't really have the time. And I realised in it that all the inner turmoil that I was going through. And I spent a lot of time on my own in 2019, like, you know, just at home. Everyone was being forced to do in 2020.
How was that?
Well, I had no choice, really. Like, I also, you know, I was really... My anxiety, I couldn't really... It was really bad.
Yeah.
It was really, really bad. And hearing my friends in 2020 tell me what they were going through and stuff like that, and being forced to sort of look inwards because they had no one else to look at. Mainly, like, you know, because they'd be on their own. In lockdown and stuff, I was like, actually, I feel like the process that I just went through might actually be quite helpful to some people, like, you know, and just, I think it's a very hopeful album. I don't think it's just easy on me and stuff. I think it's a very, it's someone rolling up their sleeves and getting on their hands and knees and, like, crawling through shit to come out the other end.
Yeah.
Like, I'm definitely not uncomfortable in sadness. I feel like I'm just a naturally sad person.
Yeah.
But I don't want to live like that.
Yeah.
That's not how, and I don't want my son to see me living like that. And I don't want my son to inherit that, just like, okay, cool, well, I'll just sit here then and just feel like shit all the time. Like, you know, and let other people know that I feel like shit so you can sit in my shit and all. Like, that's not a trait I like about myself. And I feel like I really did the hard work, and I feel like you can hear it in my lyrics, in the music, and I think that a lot of people put that journey off a lot. So, you know, like I said, hopefully people will feel comforted by the record on their journey of it, as well as for the people that will never do it. Like My Little Love, for example, I remember when I listened back to it, you know, early on, and I was like, there could be like a 40-year-old man who is so traumatised by his parents' divorce that this song will make him feel seen for the first time. Or that, you know, my divorce really humanised my parents for me, not that they were married. But, like, that's an incredible thing. Like, you know, like I was so, like, angry at my dad for so long and all these things. And in my divorce, I was like, well, we're all fucking human. Like, you know, we can't just only live one way for our children, which I'm sure a lot of people will think is very selfish and stuff. But in that, I found I got healing with my dad before he died. Like, it's just, if you just slow down and just, like, really kind of hone in on something, you really can conquer it. That's how I feel. You know, and everyone needs a soundtrack. You know, every day of life needs a soundtrack. So if anyone wants to listen to my album and it helped them on their journey, then great.
That's beautiful, yeah. I think I had a bad anxiety run too.
Oof. When was yours?
20. I was 20. I'm 34 now.
Yeah.
I was 28 then.
Are you able to, like, link what it was about? Or
Yeah, my dad died when I was 24.
Okay.
Sort of suddenly. So I think I had health anxiety. And then I took on this job, and there was so much, there's a lot of, like, stress and stuff like that, you know, and it ended up pretty... Anyway, I ended up in bed for, like, a couple of days. I ended up going to see a therapist, doing meditation.
Oh, yeah, same, babe,
all
same.
that lovely stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, sound baths.
But I tell you what, sound baths?
Yeah, I was saying earlier to someone, anyone that would listen to me be like, oh, like, I think I'm gonna, like, I think my world is about to implode. They'd be like, have you ever tried this? Have you ever tried that? Pilates, out. I'll be like, oh no, but I'll give it a try. You know, anything that someone else found productive on their journey of life to feel clearer, I'd be like, I'll give that a go. I had like a full day sometimes, like therapy, meditation, sound baths, like an hour bath reading, like a self-help book or something.
Oh,
just
I got a lot of those. I could have
anything.
A subscription, you know?
Do you know what really helped me? Crucial Conversations.
What's that one?
It's about, like, how to approach a conversation that you need to have. And it could be, there's, like, different chapters. It could be work, it could be love life, it could be children, it could be friends, it could be therapists. Just sometimes we come in, like you could be, like, imagining a scenario, right? You have to go and talk to your boss, so you have to go and talk to, like... I remember I did it with my dad when I went to go and see him when he was sick, and in my head I was like, I just know it's going to be like this, it's going to be like that. And I remember, like, my friend said to me, like, everything that you think is going to happen is not going to happen. It'll be the opposite. He was like, the colour of the front door is probably going to be different to last time you were there. And it was just... And when I got there, pumped myself right up, ready to go and be like... Ah! And I got there and the door was a different colour, right? And it threw me off, because that's what my friend had told me.
Yeah.
And how you approach a situation is what decides the outcome. You know, so if you go in hot-headed, like steaming in, you're going to have to leave steaming out, you know, as opposed to going in being like, I don't know what's going to happen and I'm open to what's going to happen. Like,
presence, that's the one.
That really helped me. Like, it's crucial how I approach a conversation that I need to have.
Presence is the big one for me. Even getting ready for this one with you, I was just like, I don't want to have any expectations going into this.
Yes, but I think that also comes with getting older.
Yeah.
Because if you really start banking it all up, it's exactly, when my friend was older, if you really start banking all the times you've built yourself up to, like, what's it going to be like, it's never like what any of us think it's going to be like, you know?
But I think what also helped is finding out that other people had gone through it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought, I'm alone in this. I have never, no one has... I can't talk about it because I've never experienced, and that is a great gift on this record today.
I agree with that.
Thank you. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is when you talk about Hold On, or when you talk about, there's a great line in the record, something like, forgive me, I'm gonna try to quote your lyrics back to you, but it was something along the lines of, like, I can't believe I fell victim to something that I sell. Like,
in Love is a Game, as how unbelievable of me to fall for the lies that I tell, the dream that I sell.
As you.
Yeah.
And
I know, but that's what, it's like ironic, it's like sarcasm. It's like I'm taking the piss out of myself. Yeah.
I think that any time you can give people, like, even me, I got these flowers and, you know,
Yeah.
people adjusting my boots for me. Even I,
Yeah.
which is my dream, by the way.
I didn't ask for these flowers and pomegranates. I don't know who's put those
I wondered
there.
if they were tomatoes and everyone laughed and didn't tell me what they were.
What's that, a tomato? What's that one?
I think it's...
Oh, it fell off.
I don't know
Sorry.
what it is.
I don't know. I didn't ask for those, but yeah, I had to get someone to help me.
I think that's
boot
one
up.
of the greatest gifts we can give people is, I've been there.
Yes.
You know?
I said that as well with, you know, when 21 blew up, I remember people always being like, why do you think it's like so successful and stuff? And I think when you're going through, then I wasn't, well, I did have anxiety then, I just didn't know what it was, like, you know, but certainly not as bad as I had it a couple of years ago. But like when you're going through anxiety or when you're going through a heartache or like just, you feel like you're the only person that's going through it, but you also feel like you're the only person that exists because it's so consuming those things that you can't even pay attention to everyone else and what's going on. So I always put down 21 being so successful was because it made people feel less alone, you know? But when you're in those like dire moments of like despair or self-despair, you're not opening your eyes. You're not communicating with people properly. So someone can't say to you, oh, no, that's it. I felt like that before as well. Like, don't worry about it. So, but again, that's why I think music is so powerful in general. I certainly, you know, I was listening to Donny Hathaway the whole time where I thought that my life was falling apart. Like, you know, and there were moments where, you know, he felt like his life was falling apart. And in some cases, it bloody was, bless him. But, you know, it's just, music is there for that reason. It's there for us to feel less alone. So I try and tap into that because that's the kind of music that I listen to.
So Drake put up this thing and he was like, I'm so proud of my best friend,
Oh, yeah.
right? Which was lovely.
Yeah.
What I thought was meaningful about that was you're in such a rarefied place in culture.
Right.
You know, I know you don't like to think about yourself as famous, but you are.
Yeah.
And he is.
Yeah.
And there's not many of you.
Yes, I agree. We're a dying breed.
And it must be, I wasn't going to say that.
We
but
are a dying breed. I don't think there's ever going to be...
No.
There was like 10 of us. You know, I don't think there'll ever be that many of us again at the top doing it the way we were doing it.
Everything kind of just...
Well, it's just so...
fractured, yeah.
We came out when people... Before streaming. We came out before streaming. We came out before all the social media frenzies of like, you know, you've got 5 seconds to entertain me, otherwise get out.
Yeah.
We existed in the old schoolness of the industry that we grew up watching and aspiring to, and, you know, our favourite artists were in it. They weren't in this... I don't think my little 11-year-old self would look at the music industry now and be like, I want to get into that.
Oh, no? Really?
No, I don't think so. No, but again, you know, I'd be... What's that, Generation Z? I get so confused. I'm a millennial, right?
Yeah, I think we're
I
both
only
on
found that out recently and I was, like, hyped about it. Because I thought I was, like, internet generation, whether that is. But I existed before the internet. So would you, we're the same age.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. We all had normal childhoods where we weren't attached to a screen all the time, you know? So that's what I mean of, like, no one's going to be able to pull off the things that we did because those things won't exist anymore. That's what I mean by we're a dying breed.
With that being said, he is able to understand what you're going through. And so I thought that...
But that's the whole reason that we're such good friends, is like having access to someone else that knows exactly what it's like to be in a certain position sometimes. If I try and talk to one of my other friends about it, they'll be like, no idea what I'm talking about. They'll be like, I can't relate. Like, you know, so they just switch off.
Yeah, you still got buddies back there, right? Back home and everything like that.
That's where all my day ones are, but like, just, I can say something to him and he won't judge me for it. You know, in terms of work or whatever, like, you know, and whereas other people might think I'm moaning, like, you know, so to have access to someone that's in the same position as you is like one of the biggest gifts of my entire career.
But it must be nice to have the crowd back home too.
Yes, of course, yeah. But yeah, but I'm saying I know lots of people that are well known, but I'm not close with any of the others that came up at the same time as me and know what it's like to be at that level when you release something. Like, you know, it's a real gift for me, our friendship.
I got the wrap on. Can I ask you one more?
Yeah.
It's been lovely to talk to you.
Is that it?
Well, we don't have to be, but I got the wrap.
Let's ask a few more questions.
Let's have a guess, for God's sake.
I'm having a great time.
Can we bring in a bar cart? Is that something we can do?
No.
Can we bring
do you
in
know
a bar
what?
cart?
I drank a bottle of red wine last night because it was Sunday. So Sunday's like, you know, it's like I'm relaxing.
Yeah.
Dying to watch Succession. I'm like hyping everyone up. I'm like, all right, it's coming on in like 10 minutes. The minute I'm trying not to drink. I've got too much work to do. Like, literally, I missed the whole thing. I woke up at like 11:15.
I did daytime margaritas yesterday.
Did you? I mean, I was drinking all day. No, I was drinking I drank the bottle of wine throughout the day.
That's why you
and
fell
then
asleep.
I passed out. So yeah, I'm trying not to drink because I've got work to do.
What do you hear when you hear this record back? Now, after all this time. What do you hear when you hear the record back to you?
I actually had to listen to it back to it the other night, actually, on Friday, because listening parties, like, you know, and did one for Sony and blah, blah.
You sit in on those? I figured you'd just walk out.
I didn't win the Sony one, and also it was just, I was so busy, I had to go and have a meeting, like, next door, but I did one on Friday just for my closest friends and family, and it would have been a bit weird had I walked out from, like, my closest friends and my family, so I sat through it, and I heard it again. I heard, like, and I got quite emotional during it, because it was like, I also remember how I felt when I was writing them, and it was horrible. You know, it was horrible, like, really lost. So hindsight is what I've learned, and, you know, I guess I'd probably quote myself as being like, just hold on, because it is worth it in the end. Like, you know, I'm glad I stuck with it and that I rose to the occasion and didn't get lazy or too scared to run away from addressing it all, so.
I have rarely heard a record with such candor.
Oh.
And for someone in your position, courageousness, and I mean that.
Oh, yeah, I agree. It's, you know, a lot of people that I don't know are going to hear it.
Yeah.
Sadly, a part of my career is tabloidy with the press. Like, you know, it's not just cool interviews like this and, you know, like music magazines
I'm going to get to that
stuff
part
like that. But it's like, you know, they do tend to write the whole story, but their headlines are clickbait.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so I know I'm going to get probably slaughtered by some of those headlines, but also I'm used to that and all. It's been like 12 years.
I think it's worth it if you're giving people.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I just even if it does just end up explaining it a bit more to my son when he's older, then I think my job is done.
Has he heard it yet? Or?
Yeah, he was here at the listening party the other day.
And?
You know, he put a blanket over his head and was playing a game on his iPhone, but he's only 9, bless him. But he was, he's a feeler as well, like me. Like, you know, if he puts a pair of headphones on and listens to whatever it is, you can catch him sometimes like lost in it, like, you know, which I like. I like that, like he stops and listens to the lyrics, whereas some people just hear the music. Like, you know, I remember, like, some of my friends with, like, Rolling in the Deep, they thought it was, like, they listened to it to get pumped. Like, you know, like, I'm going to go and do this. I'm like, but the lyrics don't say that. Like, it's like the opposite. Like, so I know that he can tap into lyrics, which I like. Certainly didn't tap into them on Friday night, but yeah. Yeah.
Well, he has a great gift coming his way. If only we could all have that kind of clarity about those things in our lives. And
Yeah, that's
my
very
God,
kind
it's been
of
lovely
you.
to meet you.
Really, really nice to meet you. Great interview. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so
Really
much.
liked our chat.
Lovely to meet
Thank
you.
you very much.